you to look at that and think about that while it sits there in front of you. I will worship you until the very end. See these plays in the background, just think about that. Think about this God that loves you. Think about the glorious display He is seated in the heavens. Use that imagination that He gave you. It's the only place big enough for you and Him to get together. Imagine being transported into His presence. 100 million angels in the background surrounding all sides. Cherubims flying back and forth, crying, holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. The whole earth is full of His glory. That when He speaks, the very foundations of heaven tremble. Just imagine all that. And then understand this. It's out of that power, out of that strength, out of that unmovable, unchallengeable being, flows this love for you. Just like the song said, He is indeed the lover of your soul. And that's why we can't get away. That's how we're held. You see, here's the deal. Love wins. Amen? Love wins. Love triumphs. Love conquers everything. And I will indeed worship Him until the very end because He loves someone like me, because someone like Him shouldn't love someone like me. But He did with a passion and a determination and a strength that I don't understand. Because I don't get that right there. I don't understand that, how He could put Himself in my place and take my punishment. And even after having done that, even after I realized that, I still want to run off and do what I want to do. I still want to be who I want to be. And you know what? In the midst of that, He still loves me. And He still pursues me. How many of you had Him drag you back? Drag you back. Say, come on, man. We ain't going to stay out here. It's time to go here. Come on. Got to bring you back. And you know it was Him. It wasn't men's voices you heard. You heard the voice of the Son of Man saying, come on now. It's been enough of this. It's been long enough. It's been far enough. It's hurt enough. Let's get back home. Amen. Where it's safe and where it's good. Listen, that's the God that I serve. The God that loves me. Give Him a hand. Amen. Amen. Father, we come to You this morning. We thank You for Your great love. We thank You for Your mercy that You extended to us, Lord. Ask You to continue to meet in this service, Lord. Speak to us. Draw us closer. Mold and make us Your servants to show You that worship we're going to give You right here on this planet. To uplift You, to stand for You, to share You, to hold your beliefs, Your tenets, Your teachings in front of a world that so desperately needs it. I'll be with each and every one here this morning. Be with us and build us into the body You have us to be. We ask for those things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Matthew 16, verse 21, we're going to start out. And then, just so it can be fun, 2 Chronicles 20 is a place you can mark out. So Matthew 16, verse 21, and then 2 Chronicles 20 are the two places we're going to be this morning. So, we started out last week with one thing that Jesus spoke more about than anyone else in the Bible. And that was about hell. Jesus spoke more about hell than anyone else in the Bible. That's how it is. Sometimes they said more about that than anything else. That's not true. But He did speak more about hell than He spoke than anything else, anybody else in the Bible. And we talked about one thing Jesus spoke about more than anything. Okay? And we're going to look at that next Sunday, what Jesus spoke about more than anything. And then there's one thing that is repeated in all four gospel books. It's the only thing that is clearly and definitively repeated. You might have a story that's shown in Matthew and Luke, or a story that's shown in Mark and John, or Matthew and John, or something like that. But this is consistently in each of them. It's said twice in one gospel, and one time clearly and definitively in all the other four gospels, something that Jesus said. So I look at that, and I think that perhaps God's trying to get something across to us. Amen? Because see, the Gospels were meant, and they were made to be complementary. Okay? Question. They're made to be complementary. In other words, they're not trying to cover every single, it's not just supposed to be repeat and repeat and rinse and repeat as you read through it. They're meant to complement one another and give a greater overview. All right? Now, that's some of the reason why people try to find fault in them and say there's some things that weren't written here that were written there, but that's simple. If I take any four of us and we go out front and right here at this intersection there's a traffic accident, I guarantee you all four of our accounts of the traffic accident are not going to be the same. They're going to be true. They're probably accurate, but they're not going to be worded exactly the same, now are they? What you saw from this side, what I saw from that side, what happened over there, and that's a simple thing. So you have four guys that God used to write these four gospels, meant to complement one another, put them together. So if there's some things added in this story that wasn't in that story, is that a big deal? No, it just means he added that. Amen? Doesn't change the integrity of it at all. But this one thing was said over and over and over again. And I want you to see where it comes from in the light of the scripture that we have. So in Matthew chapter 16, verse 21, it says, "And from that time forth began Jesus to show unto his disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and be raised again the third day." So Jesus starts telling the disciples, guys, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go into Jerusalem. They're going to arrest me. They're going to put me on trial, and they're going to end up sentencing me to death, and they're going to kill me. But don't worry about that, because I'm going to rise again on the third day. So he begins telling them that. Verse 22, "Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto thee." I love that. That idea that Peter took him meant that he grabbed Jesus, as it were, by the elbow and pulled him aside privately. I love the idea of this. You know, because we kind of like that. We're going to get Jesus over here and say, "Now look now. We can't be like this. It needs to be like that." Amen? But just Peter's audacity in that is just amazing to me. And here's the guy that walks on water. Here's the guy that's raised the dead. Here's the guy that's fed the 5,000. Here's the guy that has miraculously restored sight and given healing and forgiven sins and all this stuff. And Peter supposes to grab him by the elbow and take him aside and begin to rebuke him. Starts telling him, no, that's not what's going to happen. We ain't having that. Ain't going to be nobody killing you. And we're going to be arresting you, put no hands on you, and begins to rebuke him on that. And what is Jesus' response? It says, "But he," Jesus, "turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan, thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men." Now, why does he say that? Because Peter is thinking from a human standpoint. He has walked with Jesus for a long time now. He's seen amazing things, and he has no desire within himself to lose him. All right, we know when Jesus is arrested, Peter's the one that takes up the sword and cuts the servant's ear off. Because he still yet is bound and determined that nobody is taking Jesus from him. That's an awesome quality, amen? There's nothing wrong with that except for the point where it begins to interfere with what God's trying to get done. I want you to get that. There can be things that there's nothing wrong with them except for the fact that they're beginning to interfere with what God's trying to get done. Now that's just a deep thought. Okay, I don't have any of them, so I like to point them out when they happen. But that's a deep thought right there. Nothing inherently wrong. It comes from a right perspective. It comes from a sorrowful heart, a fearful heart. You don't want this thing to happen. But yet it can still find itself contrary to what God's trying to do. So we have to be able to see those things and allow God to lead in our lives. Amen? So then Jesus in verse 24 turns and he says this. "And said Jesus unto his disciples, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man shall come in glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. And verily or truly I say unto you, There be some standing here which shall not taste of death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. And let's pray. Father, I just come before you right now, lift up the scripture to you. Just ask you to work through the power of the Holy Spirit, to minister to our hearts, mold us into who you would have us to be, Father. And if there's any here that aren't saved, Father, that you would deal with them and draw them unto yourself. Lord, we love you and we thank you for these things now in Jesus' name. Amen. So here we go with the verse that I know you've heard before about if a man will deny himself and take up his cross, follow me. Now what is the cross that we're supposed to take up? I'm going to ask. I'm asking. You can answer. What do you think the cross is we're supposed to take up? What is this cross he speaks of? It's one of those things that if you've been in church long, there's a lot of discussion about it, things said about it, but what do you believe the cross is? Again? Okay, but that's what I'm talking about for us individually. Where Jesus says we're supposed to take up our cross. What's your cross? What's your cross? What's your cross? What is that? What is our cross? Amen? I'll work with that. Live the Christian life. Amen? I'm good with that. Sacrifice of ourselves. Amen? Definitely getting on point there. Let me ask you this. What was the cross in Jesus' life? What was it? Bottom line, what was it? Let me get this, because I want you to think about these things, so I don't want to just throw it at you and bark it at you. But here we have Jesus talking about going to the cross. Peter says, oh no, you're not. Jesus says, you're responding in Satan's terminology. You're not standing for me, you're standing against me. So what was the cross in Jesus' life? What was that place, that point in time? What was that thing he was at do? What was it in his life? It was his Father's will. Very good. So what is the cross in your life? It is your Father's will in your life. It is your Father's will for your life. You're supposed to take up the same cross. The cross represented the Father's will for Jesus was that Jesus went to the cross. Amen? That was his great work. That was his great goal, was to get to the cross. That was his purpose, if you will, in life, was to go to the cross and die for the sins of mankind. Amen? That was the will of the Father for Jesus. So the whole point is, each of us now as believers, Jesus being the first fruits and we being those that fall behind, now what you come equipped with when you get saved is a cross of your own. Now, what we got to figure out is, what is that cross? Well, it's to do the will of the Father in your life. You know what? I'm telling my cross right now. You understand that? Because I'm doing right here, right now, at this very moment, exactly what God made me to do. He made me to preach the Word. And here I am in open assembly preaching the Word. Amen? So my cross is right there on the shoulder. I'm doing exactly what. If I went to just working in the plants and not preaching, then my cross would be cast off to the side and just laying on the ground. Amen? And I want you to get that. So the point is, what is your cross? Well, it is the will of the Father for your life. And that covers everything. It covers everything. Are you working where God has for you to work? You know what? I'm working where God has for me to work. God put me, the mental not in his head, you know. God put me where he put me on purpose. So that I can be a light for him where I'm at. I didn't plan that. God just put those things together and sent me there. But I have a wonderful time, love everybody there. It's good. Got a couple of the guys sitting here from work, and you see the fruits of that when God works in your life. So the whole point is, it encompasses everything. You know? Even on the other side of that, just because it's fun, the two of you that are sitting here right now were exactly where God had for you to be, so that you could be reached and end up being sitting here. Amen? That's cool. God just like the big multitasker on every side. Bearing your cross, are you where you need to be? Are you seeking to serve him? Is that what your life is all about? Because you know what, I can tell you honestly, that is all I think about. Is this pleasing to the Lord? Is this what God would have me to do? I want to make sure I'm going where you have for me to go and do what you have for me to do. And that all wraps up in this next verse, in verse 25. And this is the one that's said all 4 times in each of the 4 Gospels. Right here we see, for whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. And back in Matthew 10:39 it says, he that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. Mark 8:35 says, for whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever shall lose his life for my sake in the Gospels, the same shall save it. Luke 29, for whosoever will save his life shall lose it, imagine that, but whosoever will lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it. John 12:25, he that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. All 4 Gospels record the same thing, that in order to save your life, you got to lose the one you got. Yeah, somebody say amen. You got to give up on the one you got. You cash it in. It's the great exchange. You give the old for the new. Amen? You bring it, you lay it down at the feet of Jesus, and he makes you a new creation in Christ Jesus, 2 Corinthians 5:17. Listen to me, I want you to get this. The question you have to have today, is that what's happened in me? Have I laid down that old life and taken up that new life? Because that's the only way. He says it all 4 times. He says it twice in Matthew, and then 3 other times in the rest of the Gospels, that you have got to lose your life. Whosoever will save his life. If you try to hold on to what you got going on here, if your emphasis is here, understand this. I want you to get this. I haven't said this in a while, but I want you to remember, there's some things that there can be that, but it can't be about that. Amen? You know, you can have a 4-wheeler, but you can't just be about a 4-wheeler. You know, wherever weekend you're loading that 4-wheeler up, you're going to the 4-wheel place, and you spend your whole weekend there, and you're just doing whatever, and you're not making, you know, there's just things that there can be, but life can't be about that. Amen? You can have a camp house or something like that, there can be that, but your life, I've seen people, I've watched people sit there and slavishly labor on a camp house, and miss Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, and then I watch their lives behind that just come to pieces. Because what was going on here was more important than what was going to be going on there. Amen? See, we're called to set our affections. You then be risen with Christ. Set your affection on things above. On things above. Where they don't corrupt and they don't rust and they can't be stolen from and they can't be taken away from you. Because you can lose your money. Amen? That stock market will take your money. You can lose it. Everybody, I don't know what we think. If you got a debit card, which I'm sure you do, you know as well as I do, that's about as secure as nothing. Amen? But the only reason nobody's taking all my money is for some reason they haven't targeted me to take it. Because if they did, they could, right? Would y'all agree with that? I know you would agree with that, because he had his plant card got into by one up in Massachusetts and somebody in England or whatever, however that all was. I'm saying, you can lose stuff here. You can't hold on to stuff. Every vehicle you own is headed for the junkyard, amen? Pretty much, that's where they end up. The houses we live in, all these temporary dwellings, all this temporary stuff. Jesus says that's what has to be cast aside. That's what's got to be let go. I tell you what, in the NLT version, it talks about how these things dominate the minds of unbelievers. What do I have in comparison to what they have? What have I accrued in comparison to what they accrued? You don't have as much as them. And that puffed up pride about who has the most. Amen? Well, trust me, whoever dies with the most toys does not win. Amen? All right, he clearly says that right here. For what shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world? If I become King Tony, amen? And I sit upon the world's throne, and everything is mine, everything is subject to me, and I die and go to hell, what did I gain? Nothing. Nothing. That's what he's saying. Let go of this life. Being so concerned about this life, so focused on this life. Let me ask you, I wish I had a board right now. If you take just about 100%, 100%, and you look at your job time, your family time, your yard time, your play time, your vacation time, I mean, how much of that is left over for Jesus? Is that the way this is being approached? How do we do that? How do we make it to where it's not so separated? Because that's what happens, right? You know, we get out on the job and well, the job's the job. See, that's the whole point. You got to make the job not the job. The job needs to be your ministry. Because that's where you are to minister to others. Amen? So you start turning your job into your ministry. Wow, now all that job time is becoming Jesus time. Amen? You see what I'm saying? In your household, you know, you make your family also your ministry, where you're watching what's being said, you're watching what's being watched, you're watching how you love each other. You know, it's like my white shirt I have on today. These things, if you're going to walk in righteousness, you have got to be careful. Amen? If you're going to wear a white shirt, you got to be careful. Amen? It's not a good Italian food day, is it? Amen? We're going to think about the simplicity of this. That we're going to walk in this righteousness. We're going to make our lives about His life. And walk in this righteousness. Then, you know what? I think we probably need to start being a little bit more careful. Amen? A little bit more careful about how we're handling this. I got this thing on and realized I hadn't brushed my teeth. Yeah. And for about 3 to 5 seconds I thought, and then I said, no, I can't pull that off. Amen? So there I was, man. I'm straddling out. I got the little thing turned on. I got my little bit of tooth, and I'm way over here. Just like this. Because I got to watch this shirt. You know it? If you know what happens, you get that one spot. This is the cool stuff, man. You get that one spot, and you try to brush it off, and now you made a smudge. By the time you get done, it's like this big all over the side of you. And you're sitting there thinking, I should have just left it alone to begin with. And it's also biblical. You understand me? When we try to fix our own messes, what do? We just make bigger ones. Amen? But this walking and serving Him, losing our lives to be found in His life, it takes some care. But you take all these things you got going on and just put them under Christ. Amen? My job under Christ. My family under Christ. You know, even my yard work, so that I'm a good neighbor, so that I display a good, good habits under all of that stuff can be ministry work that you're already doing. You don't have to be a pastor to be a minister. Amen? You don't have to be a missionary to be a minister. All minister means is that you're serving somebody else. You're serving them by the way you're walking for Jesus at your job. You're serving your family by the way you're standing for Jesus in your home. You know, there's no profanity going on in my house. There's not. It's not something that's allowed. Nobody in casual conversation uses any of those words. Somebody asked me what those words were. I'm like, you know what those words are. Okay, some things are just a little self-explanatory, amen? But man, making your house holy. Putting it under Christ, letting go of what you think or what you feel about it, and letting Jesus run your house. So here's the deal. Jesus doesn't want the key to the back door. He wants the deed to the house. Amen? See, He don't want access. He wants ownership. What we want to do is we want to just stick a key under the mat, because we don't want Him out. That's bad, right? It makes us feel bad. We can't be locking the door and leaving Jesus out. That's too much. So what I do is I put a key under the mat. That way He can have access. But the fact that Him just walking in and starting to dictate terms about how we're going to do this and how we're going to do that and how we're going to accomplish this and which way we're going to go with that, that's a little too much. Amen? But that's what He's looking for. That is the surrender of your life for His. What do you want me to do? Not my will, but your will being done in my life. To follow after you, to pursue you. God's will for your life, your cross. Get it, follow it. Hold on to it. I want to back up for just a minute this morning. It's going to seem like a lot, but it's not. I guarantee I can get it done in 10 minutes if you go to 2 Chronicles chapter 20 with me. I want to show you what that lost life looks like. That's what I'm calling this, a lost life. That means you've given up on your life and you're pursuing His. So what does a lost life look like? We're here in 2 Chronicles chapter 20 is a perfect example of it. It says in verse 1, it came to pass after this also that the children of Moab and the children of Ammon, and with them besides the Ammonites, came against Jehoshaphat to battle. So Jehoshaphat was the king of Israel, and all of a sudden this group, this alliance of countries is going to attack him. And they came unto Jehoshaphat and told him, saying, there cometh a great multitude against thee from beyond the sea on this side of Syria, and behold, they be Hazan Tamar, which is in En-gedi. And Jehoshaphat feared, and listen to this, set himself to seek the Lord. That's a lost life move right there. He did not set himself to array his troops. He did not set himself to give positive motivational speeches. He did not set himself to get ready for the battle. The first thing he did was what? He set himself to seek the Lord, and he proclaimed the fast throughout the whole land. Who's your go-to? First person you contact when things go wrong, who's your go-to? Amen, that's what it's supposed to be. Just like Jehoshaphat, first thing you got to do is pray about it. You say, well, I was calling mom and daddy. Well, maybe Jesus don't want you to call mom and daddy no more. Maybe He's got a different direction this time for you to go. But you ain't never going to know because we don't go to Him first. Amen? Well, that's it. He hears about this great multitude. It's too much. More than he can handle. And the first thing he does, even in his fear, is that he runs to Jesus, runs to God, and seeks out His will. And he goes through with this whole long speech, which we're not going to read, but you can go back and read this chapter. In verse 11, he finally gets to the meat of the point. And he says, behold, I say, how they reward us to come to cast us out of thy possession, which thou hast given us to inherit. Now, these ones that are attacking Jehoshaphat and his people are ones that the Israelites could have overtaken when they first came into the promised land, but God told them to leave them be, to leave them alone. So now, after being good to them, he says, you see how they now reward us in the fact that we didn't eradicate them when we came in like we did others, but now they've gathered up to attack us. And there's one thing the attack is trying to do. You need to get this in your head. The attack is trying to get you out of what God has for you to have. That's what he says here. To cast us out of our possession, thy possession, which you have given us to inherit. The work of the enemy is to get you out of the life that God has for you to live. That's all he's trying to do is cast you out. God says, here's the promised land, walk here, bear this cross, do these works, get on this narrow path, go that way. The enemy comes in, like it says here, a great multitude, more than you can handle, and the point is, he's just trying to push you out of what God has for you to get. And I watch people step aside and not get to the end and not receive the reward because they end up quitting before they get there, amen? I always think about the guy trying to take himself out of jail. He finally gave up, and when they finally discovered the tunnel, they found that he was like 6 inches away from breaking out on the other side. That's disappointing, isn't it? It's for you if you're trying to break out of jail. Oh, so many people. Look at me. How long do I try? Well, number one, quit trying. We already talked about that. But number two, you stay with it until it's finished. You stay until God delivers, amen? Isn't that right? Anything else is quitting. Would that be correct? You stay until God delivers. Doesn't matter how big the challenge is. Doesn't matter how, you know what, there's some stuff going on in my life that's been around a long time. You know what? I'm going to keep after it, keep doing it, keep praying about it, keep dealing with it. Because you know what? Not only do I have a cross to bear, but I got thorns in my flesh that give me a lot of trouble too. Amen? Keep going until the end. He says, verse 12, O our God, wilt thou not judge them? For we have no might against this great company that cometh against us. I love this. Neither know we what to do, but our eyes are upon thee. How cool is that? You've heard me say it 1,000 times. What do you do? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lifting up Jesus and trusting him to lead the way. Amen? You say, well, that doesn't sound very, very regimented and very distinct. You know what? Just like these people here, I don't know what to do. You better hope I don't start doing things like I want to do. Amen? You better hope I just stay wide open to the fact of allowing Jesus to guide, dictate, and direct what takes place around here. Amen? And that's what I seek to do all the time. I love it. He said, we have no might, we don't know what to do, but we're looking at you. Man. See, that's faith. That lost life, that one that's, listen, I'm yours. I'm in your possession. I'm in your inheritance. I got my cross on my shoulder. At this point in time, there is no doubt that I can't trust confidently in you to keep me here, because this is where you had for me to be. Amen? I love it. Ooh. Verse 20. They get all ready to go out. It said, they rose early in the morning and went forth into the wilderness of Tekoa. And as they went forth, Jehoshaphat stood and said, hear me, O Judah, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, behold, or believe in the Lord your God, so shall you be established. Believe his prophets, and so shall you prosper. When he consulted with the people, he appointed singers unto the Lord, and that they should praise the beauty of holiness as they went out before the army, and to say, praise the Lord, for his mercy endures forever. And when they began to sing and to praise, right there, I love that. When they began to sing and to praise, then what? The Lord sent ambushments against the children of Ammon, Moab, and Mount Seir, which were come against Judah, and they were smitten. When they began to praise, God began to work. When they began to thank him before anything had even happened is when he decided to start to work. You understand that? You just praise God for the fact that I know you're not going to leave me. I know you're not going to forsake me. It don't matter if I'm standing in knee-deep mud right now and I just feel stuck. I know you're on your way. I know you're coming. So I'm going to stand here in the mud, hold my cross, singing to you, praising you for all that you're going to do in my life, and just wait for you to show up. Amen? Because you know what? I don't have any strength. I don't know what to do anyway. I got no idea which way to go, but my eyes are on you. Amen? Amen. That's right. God sends the ambush, just wipes them out. You know what it says, if you go on to the story, it took them 3 days to pick up all the spoil that was left. All the leftovers, all the horses and the donkeys and the saddles and the silver and the gold and the food and the whatever, man. All of it took them 3 days, back and forth, packing this stuff off. And what did they do? What did they do? Nothing. Trusted God and sang. Amen? I'm pretty sure all of us can do that. You ain't got to be a good singer to sing. Amen? Everybody knows that, right? That's right. Turn the radio up high enough, everybody sounds good, right? Amen. Just trusted God and sang. Showed unwavering confidence in that God was going to take care of them. Huh? Whom shall we fear if the Lord's on our side? Who are we going to be afraid of? Jesus, along this verse, talks about he that hateth not mother, father, brother, sister. You know what? Sometimes your family is the Peter in your life that comes up, grabs you by the shoulder, and tries to say, well, I don't know now. I don't think that should be happening, this and that. I mean, we got to walk circumspectly and watch what's being said and watch what's taking place. And trust exactly one thing and one thing only. What this word says about this Savior I know. This God that is watching over me. Let me just have my confidence in him. Let me lose my life. Let me just have, you come with some music, Miss Monica, this morning. I just want him to have all of me. All of me. I want him to win victories in my life to his glory. Did you hear that? I want him to win victories in my life to his glory. I want him to accomplish in my life things that I can't accomplish on my own. That I have no strength to do. For his glory, I want him to do. I want him to use me. Let's all stand this morning. I want him to use me to reach out of my job. I want him to use me to stand firm in my family. These altars are open this morning. If you want to be that person, come and just give that life to me and say, just take me. Fill me with the power and the presence of the Holy Spirit. Let me speak boldly. Let me open my mouth. And let your words come out. Let me reach out to those around me at work that are lost and dying and going to hell. Let me be loving and kind and compassionate, not judgmental and stern and hateful. Fathers this morning, stand in your home for that which is right. Lead by example. Lead by truth. All of us men are going to stand and account for what went on in our homes one day. I already got enough to answer for in the background. I'm going to make sure things stay straight, things stay right, things are lovingly guided the way they should go. Ladies, watching over your babies, watching over your children, watch what they see, watch what they're exposed to. We live in a day and time where everybody's about 2 or 3 clicks away from the most heinous stuff you could ever possibly imagine. In so many forms of fashion, I can't even describe it. But keep an eye on things. To protect.